All right, all right, all right. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna. Oh, I pray everybody's doing well. I can article already. Oh yeah, new here. Welcome to the channel. And if you're on your way back, you don't know it already. It's good to see you. I came across this article. Actually, I came across a TikTok, and I didn't get a chance to go deeper into it. But then I came across this article, and it's kind of piggybacking, as they like to say, lambacking off of what it was saying. And essentially, the woman was saying that she works in healthcare. We have a lot of people who work in healthcare these days, and she's seeing an alarming number of melanated men who don't have anybody who come and visit them, right? Uh, and so she put that out there to basically be a cautionary tale or a warning that people should be careful how they act when they're in their youth, because you can get into a situation where you may need people to come and check you and look for you. And if you've treated or mistreated people when uh, you had your strength, chances are, especially because a lot of people are not out here honoring their mother and father oftentimes anymore, chances are you'll be on your own. And I guess secondhand is my mother works also in the healthcare, and often I hear stories of her trying to look and locate family members. And oftentimes, when she does, in some situations, especially if the person was terrible or they were bad or they were abusive, male or female, it's hard for her to get them to want to take responsibility for the sick person to get them out the hospital. So this is real. This is the other side of things we don't see, because internet for many is a real place, but not really. This is the stuff that happens in real time. So I want to go over this article real quick. I want to read this article. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm not playing any video today because the video be acting crazy, but I will share this article. Hold on one second. That was one of the little ones. Let's go ahead and jump into this article real quick. It's The Rise of Lonely Single Men. That's the name of the article, okay? And it seems to have triggered a lot of conversation on social media. So let me go ahead and move this little picture right here. So this is consequence. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You know what I mean? So, if we don't value whatever we invest in at any point in time, we need to look for the return from where we put that energy, right? And sometimes people forget that one of the greatest things you can invest in is other people, right? But anywho, this is written by Greg Matos, okay? It says key points: dating opportunities. Oh, sorry, let me rewind. The rise of lonely single men, dating apps, and a drastically changing relationship landscape. And that's what has become big business, big talk, trending information all over social media. Relationships, more so relationships with other people, and less relationships with the person's self, right? And so I think that is also contributing to the problems in relationships. But what do I know? Key points. Anywho, dating opportunities for heterosexual men are diminishing as relationship standards rise. I think I went over this when we looked at the leftover women conversation in China, is that this was something similar as it relates to the women that were available for the men. Because they had a higher standard in relationships, those men were no longer able or suitable for those women, and that caused a rift in the amount of people who were able to connect and get married and have families. Anywho, men represent approximately 62% of dating app users, lowering their chances for matches. So even though many people be like it's 4-1 in Atlanta, 7-1, according to this article on the dating app, you have 62% of the men of the people on it, men. I actually saw another TikTok video, if I can find it. It was of a woman. It was funny, but it wasn't funny. But the way she was scanning through the Facebook, I guess Facebook now is in the dating market. They have dating apps. Is to show you that there were a lot of men on those apps. Men need to address skills deficits to meet healthier relationship expectations. I think part of what the issue is that's happening right now, let me know if y'all can hear me, by the way. What's happening right now is that, hey, what's going on, Judah? Instead of meeting the new requirements, there's just complaining about how it used to be and how it should be and why you want too much. There's a whole market for talking negatively towards the new expectations, talking down the person or the group of people who now have more expectations, as opposed to seeing what one can do to try to meet some. Now, some of these expectations are unrealistic. There's this young guy who goes around on YouTube. It's some of the women, I'm not even gonna front. I got questions. So the guy, he's clearly tall. He's clearly over 6 feet. And he's going around the city asking the young girls how tall, how short is too short, like what is their height requirement for a mate. And a lot of them will be like, I'm 5'5", he can't be shorter than 6 foot, or he can't be shorter than 5'8". And he'll ask them, well, how tall do you think I am? He's literally 1 whole foot taller than these girls, and they're still saying crazy things like 5'7". So not only are some people asking for some things, like in the case of the women, you're asking for some things when you see it, because we're asking for it hypothetically or in our mind, when it actually is before us. I think sometimes people can't recognize it because they haven't translated it from theory to practical, right? I thought that it's crazy to watch. It really is. Anyway, so the article says men need to address skills deficits to skills deficits. Both of them shouldn't have an S, but anyway, to meet healthier relationship expectation. And why did they put this guy right here? I don't know, but we'll continue. Younger and middle-aged men are the loneliest because there's a lot of stuff going on in the market right now. There's a lot of madness going on in the market. There have ever been in generations, and it's probably going to get worse, because at times where we're supposed to be meeting and connecting and growing with people, sometimes the men are advised to sow their royal oats and move through all of these women. And what happens is, this is going to be the Amuna version, is that they create negative karmic energy that is going to return to them. Like, you cannot violate all of these people in the way in which you do, and then it be all well with you. Right. So I think that's a lot of stuff that's going on there. But anyway, this is not my typical rosy view of relationships, but a reality nonetheless. Over the last 30 years, men have become a larger portion of that growing group of long-term single people. Some people will say he's exercising his options, but people are people and humans are humans. And people, to a large degree, want to be able to connect and grow, no matter how difficult the relationship may be. But in this case, it's getting worse, especially on behalf of the men, according to this article. And while you don't actually need to be in a relationship to be happy, men typically are happier and healthier when partnered. No! What? Happier and healthier with partner? Who wrote this? That's not what we're hearing today. That's not what we're hearing today. That is not what we're hearing. Here are 3 broad trends in relationship landscape that suggest heterosexual men are in for a rough road ahead. Dating apps. Whether you're just started to date or you're recently divorced and dating again, dating apps are a huge driver of new romantic connections in the United States. And you have Kendra G. She's making waves now here on YouTube. And some of the guys that come on the show, I'm like, what? What are we doing? So some people who are on these apps are not even ready for a relationship. They're not even ready for a relationship with themselves, much less a relationship with other people, right? Again, back to the theory. The only problem is that upwards of 62% of users are men, and many women are overwhelmed with how many options they have. Competition in online dating is fierce, and lucky in-person chance encounters with dreamy partners are rarer than ever. I had a friend who Somebody must have convinced her to go on one of these dating apps. And I'm like, and I'm saying to her, it can't really be that bad. Like you doing the most, like that's not really going on. The conversations that are happening, the expectations are not realistic. Like I'm I- I'm a little bit in disbelief of the way that people are moving today, but sad but true, it's difficult out here. That's what I heard. Judah says dating apps are the devil. Judah, tell us, Judah, I'm gonna share the link in a minute. Tell us, have you had experience with the dating apps, Judah? Tell us what your experiences have been with the dating apps, man. If you guys are out there and you have had experience with the dating apps, let us know. I'm gonna keep reading this article. Relationship standards. With so many options, it's not surprising that women are increasingly selective. I do a live TikTok show. Okay. A better love project and speak with hundreds of audience members every week. I hear reoccurring dating themes from women between the age of 25 and 45. They prefer men who are emotionally available, good communicators, and share similar values. Again, another issue is a lot of the places that people would usually meet their mate. Those are not the places they're meeting anymore. And sometimes people think that, oh, a better one is going to come. Oftentimes you meet the person and you grow with the person. And today it's a build a bear workshop to a certain degree, or the instantaneous, you want the person coming already made. And it makes for a difficult connection because there's no place to really grow from there. Y'all know I like to put the example, but one of the examples is on 90 Day Fiance with Bilal, who I made a video about earlier this year, and Shaida. They're at the end of the season, but the thought process is he's already established herself and she's coming to kind of to itch on him, not necessarily grow with him. So his apprehension of her is that I am already established and you weren't there when I was doing it. So we're not as connected as we could be, say, if we both came from the bottom. But there's another problem with coming from the bottom and going to the top. So, let's continue. Skills deficits. For men, this means a relationship skills gap that, if not addressed, will likely lead to fewer dating opportunities. Less patience for poor communication skills. I hear a lot of the women upset because now men, some don't want to go on the phone. They just want to text, what you doing? People don't use full sentences anymore. Everything is upside down. And longer periods of being single. The problem for men is that emotional connection is the lifeblood of healthy long-term love. Emotional connection requires all the skills that families are not still consistently teaching their young boys. So, I've been catching up on a show for some reason that has caught my interest, which is I Love a Mama's Boy. And there has been some talk in communities that it's mostly melanated women who baby their sons and make them their emotional husbands, and the women don't have a man, and that's why they do that to their son, which ultimately ruins them. But what I'm seeing in a few seasons of this show is that, yes, you may have you have people of all demographics who do the same thing, women of all demographics, whether they have a husband or they don't have a husband. Some of them, and I think it does a great injustice, speaking on this point of being emotionally available, it does a great injustice to the young man, and it does a great injustice to the family that he's going to have. Because some of these mothers, especially on the show, I think I'm gonna do a whole nother video for that. Some of these mothers, a lot of them, they guilt trip the young man. They guilt trip the boy who's now a man, and they put a wedge between the family that they're supposed to develop and them. And it's sick. It's sick. It's sick to watch. I'll have to do another thing on that. Anywho, while there's probably no chance of stemming the rising tide of unintentional single men, there is still good news. The algorithms are becoming increasingly more complex on dating apps and other online platforms. One benefit is that great matches are on the rise. Bruh, did they hire you for that? Anywho, he's jumping into great matches and all of this stuff. I put the link in the box. Basically, he's saying that men have to level up if they want to be able to compete in this environment. I hear a lot of men saying the same thing, that women have to level up because there's great competition. The other side of this is that I saw I talked about the nursing home conversation, that the talk is that there are many men, not only just black men, but many men that find themselves in nursing homes with no one to come and care for them based on how they live their lives. I think there's some credence to that, because if you didn't invest in people and you messed over a lot of people, when time comes for those people to be there for you, the chances are they're not going to feel compelled to do so, right? I see Amina in a spot, so I'm going to let you come up and share your dating app experience. Welcome to the conversation. The mic
Hey,
is.
thanks for having me.
You're welcome. What are your
Um,
thoughts? Mhm.
they're the devil, man. Let me tell you, they're the devil. Whoever whoever came up with this idea of dating apps, they sat there and they said, you know what? Life isn't hard enough for women yet. Let me figure out a way to just make them want to cry every day from
Okay, so tell
simple
us
things. Like, well, see,
why would
here's
you
what.
say? Why would you
Let's
say
say this.
that?
You see
What?
how you and
Mhm.
I'm sorry. It's just it's so much, but you see how you and I can how we talk back and forth, and you have full sentences. You have a thought, and you're able to convey that thought with those full sentences.
Oh my
Them
goodness.
brothers on them dating apps, they don't do that. They can't do that. Nope. And if they do, it is Kevin Samuels all the way. I promise you, it's almost like they sit back at night and they mimic and they practice in the mirror and they write down what he says and then they go over it like a speech. And
So
those are the ones that speak.
walk us through this. Yeah, y'all know I like illustrations. Walk us through it, okay? So you on the app and you see somebody of interest, or do they see you? How does that work?
Okay, so it's both ways. Like on one app, there's an app called Bumble, I think it is. It's one of these apps. It's where the girl sees the guy and she makes the first move.
Okay.
That was never my thing because I don't rock like that. So I didn't do that one. But then there's another app. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but Lord, we all know what it is. Everybody done seen this app. So on this app, a guy can see you. You can see him. If you guys like each other, like if you match, then you get to talk, right? You
Okay.
get to chat. And it always starts off with, okay, for me, I'm looking at location, I'm looking at age, and I'm looking at like career and family type. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking at. And if it has the option of what they're looking for, like if they're looking for friends or something more, then I'm looking for that too. I'm
Okay.
looking to see the details. These guys aren't looking for details. They're not. They're just hitting everybody up.
Oh,
And it's I kid you not. I, it, oh my gosh. It's like I had a conversation with one guy, and in the middle of the conversation, he got me mixed up with another girl that he was having a conversation with. And then he got mad at me because I told him that I wasn't her. And he's like, no, we just talked about that earlier in this conversation. And I'm like, I'm scrolling through the conversation looking for what he's talking about. And no, it wasn't me. It
oh
wasn't
wow.
me.
Oh wow.
And yeah,
So they hedging their bets basically.
yes, yes. And
Oh,
then
have you
the
gotten
the main
on the talking stage in any of these? Has it materialized?
no,
No.
no. And the reason why not is simply because they cannot hold a conversation longer than half an hour. On these apps, after half an hour, if you're not talking about sending him pictures, if you're not talking about showing him something or inviting him over to your house or you going over to his house, the conversation starts to dry up like the Sahara.
And one of my friends, that was what she said, that the person is asking for a picture, and I'm like, wow, a picture, like like
She's lucky it was just one. I mean, for me, I'm like, okay, if you ask for a picture, maybe it's because you may think that I'm a catfish. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, okay, not only am I going to send you a picture, but I'm going to send you one of me right now, and maybe like with a thumbs up or something, so that you know that this is right now. Or you know, find some way to, like, put up a little calendar behind you or something. But some way for him to know that, yeah, this is what I look like. I really look like me. I don't have a problem with that. It's the ones that are like, okay, you done got that picture. 5 minutes later, you want another picture. And then
Okay.
you want another full body picture. And now you want a full body picture of me and something else. Now you want, and it's like, why are you asking for so many pictures?
That's weird.
Can't we just meet?
We have Corey in the chat. He says, that's funny. As a brother, I never tried dating apps before this year. I tried it once and I realized it's not for me. I'm more conversational. Most of the women I'm seeing is hook it up tagline. Shake my head. So I think Corey is here having a similar experience. Corey, if you want to click the link, feel free to do so. But Corey's sharing that he's having a similar experience. So what's the alternative? Should you guys go on Kendra G's show? What do you think? Is Kendra G show a better alternative to the dating apps?
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, at least on her app, I mean, on her platform, it's like, a matchmaking type deal. It's not just you on an app hoping that this person is cool. You know what I'm saying? At least it's that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because even then, guys have a really uncanny way of being who you want them to be long enough to get what they want, and then they turn into something. They're real good at that. So it's like, even if you meet him on her platform, you still run the chance of him being the representative.
It's the representative. It's interesting. I mean, I'm just looking at it from all angles. Like I said, in recent times, I'm looking at this. No, there's a show called Arranged. What are your thoughts on arranged marriages? And do you think that the elders or the ancients had a better idea of how to deal with relationships? And do you think we're like missing something in modern times?
Okay. Yes, they absolutely had it right, because they did. They did. And the reason why is because everybody back then knew the families of everybody.
Right.
So therefore, when they went and arranged their marriages, they knew the families that their child was marrying into. Now, and yes, we're definitely missing something now, because would I have allowed my mother to pick my husband? No. Not at all. And the reason I said it the way that I did is because it's like, it would have been hard for her to pick him in the first place. She wouldn't have been in a, how can I say this? Mothers today, our mothers, they were not, they were not doing what they were. Not all of them. I mean, some of them were great mothers and all that, but the majority of them were not raising all of us like they were supposed to be raising us. We learned more from being off on our own than we did at home. And so that, it's like, how could they pick a suitable mate when they probably pick somebody that's equally as, well, I guess.
Yeah, so basically
messed up, but no.
They weren't equipped to be able to do so.
No.
There was a on this relationship show that I was looking at, Arranged, there was a gypsy family that has a community in New York. What I found interesting and intriguing at the same time is that they married the children off very young, but within the context of the community, right? So the young boy, he's like 18, still playing video games. And they arranged a marriage to a 17-year-old young, but he knows nothing of how to do it. But in the storyline, his parents are like 40, and his grandparents are 60, and all of them are there to kind of guide them along the way. But in this narrative, even though they got married early and even though they picked them, they didn't know how to relate to one another. So that's kind of where they are right now, is having issues relating to one another. So I think
of course, they're babies.
they're babies. So I think in any anywhere along the line, you're gonna kind of have this issue, right?
Yeah, I do agree. But in that situation, I think it's more the case of them being so immature than than like our situation, because we're, well, I guess it depends on the way you look at it, because I was gonna say we're more mature, so we should be able to build
Right.
those
But it's not
relationships
working
better.
either.
But if you look at people, if you look at the way people behave, if you look at the way people deal with other people, we are emotionally immature. We are all emotionally children. I mean, some of us may be older than others, but there's very few emotional adults running around.
And what do you think that is? Like I said, I think it's interesting to look at their ideology and how they approach relationships within their culture. And it's real time because it's like right in the middle of New York. Like they live in
I'm gonna have to
Queens.
check that show out.
It's called Arranged, right? So you have Indians on the show, you have these gypsies that are on the show, and some people from down south. And it's the concept of the parents or the family seeing another somebody who would be a suitable mate for their child and kind of arranging it essentially. And then they agree to do it, and that's how they, that's how they get into this relationship. And that's something that is old as time. But in today's space and time, especially in light of what this article is saying, there's somewhere along the line that people lost the know-how of how to, or are we deluded? Was it not what we thought it was? Just because they were together and stayed together didn't necessarily mean they were happy. I don't know. I think the
Oh no,
pendulum.
that's real talk right there. That's real talk. Because my grandmama, she was a really good woman and she loved her man and everything, but at the same time, she made it very, very clear to me to never put myself in a position where I am going to be beholden. That's what she called it, beholden to a man. And she told me that at a young age. And some of the things that I heard growing up that went on, I can see why. And then thinking about one of my exes, his grandparents, they were together until, I mean, they were together for like, I think 60, 70 years or something like that, literally until death. And the stories about what granddad used to do
Right.
and the speculations and all of this, and then the stories about how grandma had to, suck it up and try to make the best of the situation, I guess. And so
So there's a possibility that there was some fudging of the books. You know what I'm saying? There was
yeah,
there's some the false pretenses that gave people the impression, us today, that things were well because they endured it. And in reality, it wasn't what they made us to believe it was, right?
right,
There were a lot of things
right.
that I think, I mean, but what's the answer? Because right now, the being fruitful, the multiplying, the it's not good that man should be alone, all of that is falling to the wayside. Right now, having a healthy relationship is becoming an anomaly. You know what I
It
mean?
is, and that's sad because it's healthy relationships are definitely needed, but you have to want that. You know what I'm saying? So somehow we have to get back to wanting healthy relationships and healthy families and whole units. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, I mean, like the brother said, I can't speak from a man's perspective, but he said that there are sisters out there looking for one night stands. That means that even the women, the ones that are supposed to be the, oh, I want a husband, I want to settle down, I want to have a house and, the picket fence, the cat and dog and all that kind of stuff. Even she's like, hey, I'm good. So it somehow we have to get back to wanting those healthy relationships and unions. And of course, that's going to be super hard because of all of the programming, all of the everything that's going on around us is completely against us having anything healthy. So
This is something else. For those who just joined us, welcome to the conversation. We just went over the article, The Rise of Lonely Single Men, and the article went into highlighting some of the reasons that men are single in this day and time. And I think, again, the atmosphere is creating, like you're saying, the community, the voices that are ringing out. It's a lot of angry, like I think, oh wait, but let me say this, there's a lot of angry, disappointed, hurt people on both sides. But when I was over on TikTok today for a quick second, I saw Baby Samuel saying he's coming over to YouTube, so y'all watch out for. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I highlighted it the other day when I went over a video, of why doesn't she cook for the man or something like that. But Baby Samuels is on his way over to YouTube, so we're gonna have content for days because there's definitely an audience. I think, I don't know why we are entertained, but for some reason we are an audience for dysfunctionality. Right, the more dysfunctional you are, the crazier things that you say is the more people want to listen. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Is it because we keep feeding on the dysfunction, um, that people are like inadvertently messing up their relationships or the potential for them to be in healthy relationships?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Let me tell you, I watched a video just earlier today that blew my mind. There was a brother, he's sitting there and he said, I was in a healthy relationship. My woman was good to me. My woman was beautiful. Um, the sex was great. Everything was perfect. And I thought this is boring because there wasn't no arguments, there wasn't no drama, no none of that. He thought it was boring and he ended up leaving her.
Wow.
So, and mind you, I sat there and I thought about it. And I thought about like the guys that I had spoken to because I'm like, contrary to popular belief, I'm one super chill chick. I like to laugh. I like the clown. I like to be chill. However, the conversation always seems to go left. And the reason the conversation always goes left is because the brother always brings up some type of Kevin Samuels talking point. And it's like, once you go there, I don't want to talk anymore. So I say this to say that I say that to say this. The dysfunction is real. They love dysfunction. And I'm not saying the brothers. I'm not saying, just brothers in general. Our people. They love the dysfunction. If the arguments ain't happening, then I guess the sex ain't good. So they just can't, I don't know.
That goes into the intergenerational trauma, that goes into the epigenetics. And I would have to agree that most of the people who are successful, to a certain degree, speaking to a certain demographic, you have to come with the hype. You cannot
Mhm.
have a level of emotional intelligence because we like being gaslit, unfortunately, until you heal that part of you. And so that's why for many years I think the importance of understanding, that a healthy relationship with someone else involves a healthy relationship with yourself. And a lot of people don't want to take the time to deal with themselves so that they can be healthy enough not to, resort to gaslighting your mate, or, starting fights just for no reason, or doing whatever kind of unhealthy behavior that ultimately is going to lead to the separation. So I think it's an interesting point that you bring up, concerning not being used to when things are okay, when there's nothing to complain about. Chronic complainers who always complain about everything, and if there's nothing to complain about, they don't feel good. That,
Mm-hmm.
huh,
Yep.
that's kind of how the people are. Like, what?
That's exactly it.
Sit your behind down. Ain't nothing.
Like it's totally okay
It's
to have a 24-hour period of time
okay.
and your blood pressure stays steady.
That's
It's okay. It's perfectly fine. I promise it is.
there's people on social media who will skip by 100 feel good posts. You know what I mean? To get to that one comment way down in the bottom where you got to read more to be like, aha, yes, this is.
They need it. They need it. I mean, it's like SpongeBob, that episode of SpongeBob where he goes to visit Sandy and there's no water. and he's sitting there drying up, and then he sees the pitcher of water and he screams out, I need it. That's how they are with this drama, with this dysfunction. It's like, I mean, I've seen it to the point to where I had a friend, single mom, she would start drama with her own children,
Oh wow.
with her own children, because they were the only ones around. They were
Oh,
only ones like, and I was like, wow,
so
we really go through all of that.
yeah, there's some people who's addicted to it. It's a chemical. You addicted, like the dopamine, the cortisol, the all of those
Yeah.
emotions. But so to end it on a good note, what do you think? Um, I know it's asking a crazy question, but if dating apps are not it, and there are men who out there who are looking, where should you guys meet? Should it? I mean, there's a lot of people leaving the churches. There's a lot
Well,
of people working from home. Should you go to Home Depot and chill out in the lower aisle? I mean, should you?
I will be at Walmart in the bread aisle. Thank you very much. No, but no, I wouldn't say that dating apps aren't it. I would say that they need to be revamped. For instance, the brothers that go on there, they need to understand that since you can't look at anybody and like share space with that person face to face, you're going to have to open your mouth and speak. You're going to have sign language isn't going to work on a dating app. So, and also the sisters need to understand that if you're not going on the dating app to look for someone to actually date as opposed to one night stands, because there are one night stand apps, you can find those.
Oh,
And there's also the stroll, so you can go there. But the fact is, go with the intent and, go after that, put forth the effort. But outside of dating apps, girl, I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Oh my gosh.
Corey,
I'm
Corey.
looking for my little anime loving nerd boy. Where he at?
Yeah, I heard her. Yeah, I heard her. Where is he? We have Corey in the chat. He says the culture we find ourselves in is in selfishness in both men and women.
Agreed.
Moved away from family building. That's a fact, and we need more community building. Corey, so you sent you in the chat, and anybody in the chat, where do you think the lonely man and the lonely woman should go to meet one another? What is your suggestion? Because it's hard out here, and without people meeting and connecting, then how do you grow? Um, how do you create these healthy bonds that you're gonna need? Uh, it's crazy. It's wild. That's all I have to say. Definitely, thank you for coming through.
Thank
If
you for having me.
Yes, thank you for sharing your experience. My apologies for being so wild out here, sis. I'm telling you,
Okay.
Home Depot, the paint section. Just cruise around. Yeah, and then you gotta act like you gotta be like, I'm sorry, can you help me?
Yeah, yeah.
I can't be
I'm short, so I'll act like I'm trying to reach up high.
reach
Did a
this.
little tippy toe thing.
Yeah, you gotta do something. You gotta do something.
Yes.
Anybody else has anything to say? Naasha, welcome to the conversation. Naasha, what is Naasha over here saying? Young single men are very dangerous because of uncontrollable testosterone. I'm not sure. I must have missed that part in the discussion, Naasha. I don't want to go left on it, but definitely. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You have any questions or comments, feel free to drop it in the box below. And yeah, we'll be back again for another easy conversation, Corey said Wakanda. You heard that, Judah? You gotta go to Wakanda to find them. He says just plain, I think we should meet each other where we find our interest. I agree, but have healthy intentions when we see each other. That's also a fact. So if you like skiing, go there and you might meet somebody else who likes skiing. If you like painting and sipping, go there. You have to go and enjoy the activities that you're doing, and hopefully you'll come across people who also enjoy that as well. Judah says she booking her flight to Wakanda ASAP. Wakanda forever. All right, peace. We'll talk again. Like, subscribe, and share. Let me run this video real quick. See, over here, sometimes I'm hype and sometimes I'm not. You know what I mean? You can't be hype all the time.
This episode is sponsored by Yummy Curry Powder. Go on over to www.theyummycottage.com for your powder today.
All right, then. Peace, everyone. We'll talk again.